Hey, what's up? I'm Trent Xennials, and you're tuned into the infamous Living Rim Network. Divine powers are always working for us because we're trying to do right. We are the Rim team. You are watching the infamous Living Rim Network. Please make sure you subscribe after this video is over and share this video with some of your friends so they too can be enlightened on the knowledge that we discuss here today. We're on the 1 month Iron Rich Challenge here on the infamous Living Rim Network. And if you want to know more about these challenges that we do here every month, just simply visit the website, which is at the very bottom of this video in the description section here on YouTube. So I want to talk to you about a topic. It's really been on my mind to talk about. I've just been waiting on the right time to actually talk about it. I've been trying to get the right research and accumulate the right understanding of the topic so that I don't step on anybody's feet, and I make the topic as clear as possible for those of you who may need help understanding this issue, or who may be dealing with this issue yourself in your own private life. But the topic is, verbally abusive adults who have undiagnosed psychological issues. Now, of course, this topic really applies to non-adults, but at the same time, those who are making their way into adulthood. I know the society and the generation that we live in today, things kind of started early for us. There are a lot of kids, teenagers and young adults and still in their youth that have kids, 1 and 2 and 3 kids in our generation. Although we are not the baby booming generation, we're just more we had to learn faster, in our generation, in our time. I'm 28 years old. We had to really take matters into our own hands really early, really early. And most of our family members are not really there for most of us. I would say that in our generation, I would make an assumption that most of us in my age, live in dysfunctional families. And when I say dysfunctional, I mean like we feel a sense of unconnectedness, to our family members. Although, some of our family members may be there, I suppose that you, if you're in my age bracket, you probably feel an unconnectedness with all of your family, and that's just the norm of the generation that we live in. And like I said, most of us, had to learn fast, because it's just the times, that we live in, the information age, all the information that we have available at our fingertips nowadays, it let us be that much more ahead of our parents, who didn't have as much technology and information like we have today, so I would say the generation before us, like our parents and whatnot, I would say that they were more family oriented than we were today. I would say they got a chance to really hang with their brothers and sisters more than we get to hang with our brothers and sisters. And again, this is not anything personal. This is a general discussion, of things that I see everywhere, all around us. And so one thing that I have noticed with the youth or young adults who are my age, who are adults technically, but specifically young adults, we or you are going through a phase in our lives, where most of the times we find ourselves, being bottled down by so-called adults, like so-called people who are like supposedly supposed to be this like adult who's actually lived and accomplished everything, who's seen everything, who's went through all the experiences, but in our eyes, they've not accomplished nothing, but in their eyes, they might, see you as a little grasshopper, or they see you as a little kid, a child. But you might be 30 years old. You're 28 years old and you have 2 kids. But these so-called adults look down on, most adults, young adults in our generation as inexperienced. As not being able to handle their own. As troublemakers who are always getting into trouble and who are always, doing things the wrong way, you know. And so that's what I've observed for our generation. You know, I feel like most of the pressures and oppression that comes to us young adults in this generation comes from the adults that want to help us, but they just have a verbal or abusive way of doing it. And I think that most of these cases could be psychological disorders amongst some of these adults. And you know, I only say that because you guys hear me, you know, you hear me talking every day, REM teamers and whatnot, and I'm always talking on positive, inspirational, motivational stuff, enlightening stuff, you know, awakening consciousness, the mind, and all that great stuff, you know, just uplifting stuff. And believe it or not, but I've had people, you know, peers, friends, and you know, that are older than me, you know, that have told me that I should go and get psychological help. Like, I've had several people to tell me that I should get some help. You know, I'm not right. You know, I have issues. I have anger issues, you know, and this and that and that and this, you know. But the problem is that what I believe that most adults who have this verbal abuse towards, you know, younger people like you or younger adults, I believe that nobody was ever there to tell them that they might be doing things the wrong way, or they might have the wrong perspective on life. Because most of these adults, and that's what I'm calling throughout the video, they want a younger person that's maybe their kid or their daughter, you know, or their little niece or nephew. They want them to live their life, you know, because I feel like a lot of adults feel as though they, you know, their way is better, you know, and because they didn't accomplish the things that they wanted to accomplish at a young age. So most of the adults look down on the young adults and the youth of our generation, and they say, you're wrong. You're not doing it right because you're not doing it the way I was doing it. And our generation looks up to them like, we're not going to listen to you simply because of the way you're talking to us about the issues that we go through and deal with on a day-to-day basis. And then on top of that, they don't have anything to show for it. You see what I'm saying? And when I say anything to show for it, I mean living a really comfortable lifestyle. Living a comfortable lifestyle. A lot of adults look down on the younger generation and see if they're not stable, if they don't have any, you know, set place to stay, or they don't have a vehicle or transportation, or if they don't have a good job that pays good money, they look at them as not right, not doing the right thing. They're wrong, you're wrong. But us millennials, we don't see, you know, working in a job for 20, 30 years as something that makes us stable. And that's one of the biggest issues we're dealing with. We're dealing with a lot of adults who have what I would say psychological disorders, because once you've gotten to this point of adulthood, you know, you don't really want to change for nobody. You know, you're just pretty much set and stuck in your ways. And if anybody tells you anything, especially if anybody younger than you tells you anything, it's just not going to register as you're wrong. You know, so, you know, the baby booming generation, you know, that was a little bit before us, millennials, you know, may have experienced a time in the generational timeline of living in the world as a time where there were a lot of psychological disorders being created in the minds of the adults today, because we millennials do not register with verbal abuse, you know, like somebody demanding us what to do, telling us what to do, this strict hardship, this strict hard cursing, pessimistic way of thinking, you know. And we just don't listen to it. And that's why you have a lot of people in my generation, young adults, who don't listen to teachers, you know, who are supposedly the bad students in class, but they don't want to listen to the teachers. They don't listen to their parents. They don't want to listen to anybody that goes to the church. You know, they don't want to listen to people who feel they have control over them, or people that put themselves in this type of power over them to be able to dictate them and tell them what to do. Nobody likes to be told what to do. You know, the only way that we can cure this issue is we all find ourselves and try to make ourselves better first, and then we can make other people's lives better, in the world a better place. And that's why I promote that here on the Infamous Living Room Network, because if you don't make yourself better, you can't make another person's lives better. It's just like if you don't love yourself, you can't fall in love with nobody else. And so this is a real serious issue, you know, this verbal abuse with older adults. I see it all the time, everywhere, all around me. You know, where these adults, they don't know how to talk to younger people the way that they want to be talked to them. They don't know how to talk to millennials the way millennials think. You know, they don't know how to be optimistic and just, you know, see all the good things in life. You know, the only way that I see that, well, the majority of the ways that most of these adults know how to communicate is through issues. You know, they know how to talk about issues really good. You know, they know how to talk about anything that's not right really good. You know, and they know how to talk about anything that is on a low vibration. You know, and it's not registering with millennials. You know, and that's a psychological disorder. Because if nobody is telling you that you have the issue with yourself, you know, then, and you continue to go on and on and on, and you think it's normal, you think it's how you're supposed to be as an individual, then you adopt these beliefs and these perceptions for yourself, thinking that it's the right way, and then you pass it down to your kids, and they pass it down to their kids, and it's like a curse. It's like a generational curse type thing. You know, and these kids grow up, and then when they grow up, they raise their kids that strict, vindictive, negative, pessimistic way. Pick those clothes up now. Get them D clothes up right now. Before I whoop your, you know, all kind of just negative, derogatory language. Failing to realize that they got it from a parent, or they got it from, you know, somebody who used to watch over them. And so, you know, issues like this really exist, and that's why I felt like, you know, I should talk about it, because I see it going on with a lot of people that's my age, you know, especially us millennials, you know, who see life in this optimistic point of view, and we want to be courageous and adventurous with our living and the way we live. We don't like to be stagnant, bottled down in one place, you know, and we like to keep moving until we find the things that make us happy. You know, we just the type of generation that doesn't settle for less. You know, and a lot of adults have a hard time understanding that, because most of the adults have yet to find themselves and, you know, live their dreams, and they're not, most of them are not happy with their lifestyle that they've, you know, accumulated to, or, you know, where they've come in their life. And so, you know, this has to stop. This has to stop. And, you know, we have to be able to look at ourselves and say, hey, if somebody doesn't want to understand me, why is it that they don't want to understand me? If somebody doesn't want to listen to me and they think that I'm being rude or hard, why is it that they think I'm being rude or hard? Look within yourself. We got to go back on the inside. You know, if we want to come to the conclusion and the consensus on this, you know, and this is something that I wanted to talk about. So if you have a comment that you want to leave, please speak up, let your voice be heard, leave a comment below. This is a real serious topic, and I want to hear what you think about it. You know, do you think that the majority of adults have psychological disorders that are undiscovered, are not diagnosed? Let us know what you think. Turn this of the Infamous Living Room Network. See you next time.